Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. So, with the upcoming Resident Evil 4 remake, I wanted to look back on our initial HD versions of Resident Evil 4. Now, obviously, these aren't remakes. It's the same game we've been playing since the Gamecube. However, I feel like these ports are kind of often forgotten about in the sense that they're not really brought up in discussion too much. It's like when you're talking Resident Evil 4, you're talking like GameCube, Wii, PC, and maybe like the PS4 and Xbox One versions, but it's mostly like GameCube, Wii, and PC. So I think Resident Evil 4, and this is not any sort of hot take, but I do think it's the best video game to have ever video gamed. And no, that doesn't mean that it's a perfect game, but I feel like as far as just being a video game and being fun, I think Resident Evil 4 is the best of the bunch. I don't think there has been a better game. I'm obsessed with Resident Evil 4. I would give Uncle Derek at Stop Skeletons for Fighting a run for his money. I have so many ports of Resident Evil 4. I'm obsessed with Resident Evil. It's my favorite video game series. It's like the only thing that I think I can quantifiably say that I like more than like Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. There's something about Resident Evil that I just have always loved, whether it's like the old style Resident Evil or the newer Resident Evil 4 type stuff, or like even the remakes stuff. It feels kind of different. I love all of it. I have played Resident Evil 6 multiple times. I'm a true fan. So today I want to talk about the initial HD versions of Resident Evil 4. So you're going to be getting footage of the GameCube and Wii versions first, not for too long, but again, like what I did with my No More Heroes video. If you haven't watched that, plugging myself, go watch that. No More Heroes 360 port. What I want is to make sure it's fresh in your head what these games actually looked like before we get to like the HD versions and stuff. That way there's no preconceived notions that, oh, maybe it was better or worse than it was or whatever. You're just getting actually what it is. So for all my videos and stuff, I use real hardware and then run everything through like HDMI stuff through my capture card. For my GameCube, I'm using the HDMI cube adapter, running that through an upscaler just to clean up the image. It's not going to like radically transform the image. And then as far as the Wii is concerned, I'm using the Wii U just because it has, again, like a digital HDMI out. I'm a classic upscaler for both of them. And then obviously PS3 and 360 have native HDMI outs. Not that the Wii U doesn't, but obviously I'm using the Wii version. So the one thing that's goofy about Resident Evil 4, more so the GameCube version, is something is up with the aspect ratio. I remember reading about this a long time ago, but like internally it's pillar box to widescreen or something. Where does the pillar box come in? I'm not sure, but as far as the aspect ratio of Resident Evil 4, it is very confusing on the GameCube, and it makes it very hard to get footage that doesn't look messed up aspect ratio wise. Like on my TV, I can stretch it and do whatever I need to make it look proper, but as far as the raw output, like through my capture card, it is messed up. It is like super squished in top and bottom, maybe because I'm trying to run it in widescreen, but I think it also just kind of works like that. So what I ended up having to do, like the M Classic has like a 4x3 mode, so I like ran it through the 4x3 mode because like the game kind of is pillar boxed in widescreen in a 4x3 aspect ratio anyways, and then tried to stretch it out in OBS to kind of look like how it looks like on my TV. Maybe it's slightly off as far as the aspect ratio is concerned, but this is the best you're going to get, and then you can really kind of see how the GameCube version can look. And then the Wii version is, I think, anamorphic widescreen. It's not real widescreen. And the aspect ratio might be like slightly too squished in because, again, like I can't really adjust that without like cutting some stuff off through OBS if I'm understanding my setup correctly. So aspect ratios might be a little weird. Wii version's definitely going to be better, but like you might think like the GameCube and Wii version's not that necessary, and I'm not going to play footage of either of them for too long. But they do look different. Like they did touch some stuff up for the Wii version, and especially resolution and aspect ratio wise, because I think the Wii version technically is just like a higher internal resolution. It is actually 480p, and I think I want to say the vertical axis of the GameCube version is probably lower than normal 640 by 480. That's a shot in the dark, though. It's just because the aspect ratio is so messed up in the GameCube version. But yeah, the Wii version actually is like touched up and nicer, and the widescreen works a little more normally, even if it's like anamorphic. So this game, even on the GameCube, looks like amazing. It still looks great, even when you're blowing up the GameCube version on a big 60-inch 4K TV. Like, the upscaler obviously is helping like a little bit, but it can't radically change the image. Like, this game has always looked great. The frame rate's a little stanky in the GameCube version sometimes. I noticed like in the intro, like it actually dropped a little heavily just for like a little bit. The Wii version seems like pretty solid. It's like it's hitting its 30 FPS like the whole time. Granted, off the top of my head, I don't know if it like drops at certain points in the game. Honestly, the Wii version is not the version I've played the most, which is probably a huge shocker because I think that's like everybody's favorite version besides maybe the PC version. I spent a lot of time with like the GameCube version because I love the GameCube, so I'm more so familiar with that, and then like later on, like the Switch and PC version a lot. This gameplay is going to be horrible. I got so like used to being able to just aim everywhere with the mouse on the PC version that I feel like I'm all of a sudden getting handicapped, even though like I think it still plays great. It's a me problem. Like, I still love the way like the GameCube controller feels for Resident Evil 4. It feels so natural. It just, like the triggers and everything. Oh my god, I love it. Horrible gameplay. It's amazing. Hopefully that'll make this more entertaining, if anything. So, 30 FPS, 480p, maybe normal 480p for the GameCube, but kind of probably not really. So that's what we're looking at. So then, when this version came out, I think it was around 2011 or so. I believe technically the initial PC port came out first, but that is like not great. I don't think it has like mouse support at all or anything, and I don't know what resolutions it supported. I think it was probably like one of those like 600 by 800p things where it's still kind of like 4:3, maybe. I don't want to spread misinformation. I've never played the initial PC release, only like the Ultimate HD version, which is based on the newer ports, which I think is actually based on these HD ports for the 360 and PS3. Not trying to spread information, I just actually don't have that version on hand or any way to run it, I believe. So that was probably technically the first HD release, like if you're stretching the definition. But yeah, these are the first like normal HD releases, and it is a huge jump up in quality because like honestly, one of the biggest reasons is just how, like, especially if you're looking at the GameCube version, how, like, not native res even that was for 480p, and how messed up the aspect ratio was and stuff, and you had to, like, stretch it out and stuff to make it look proper, depending on your setup. These are just, like, full, normal widescreen, full 720p, still 30 FPS, but 720p. It looks phenomenal. And now, I kind of have a special fascination with these versions specifically. I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, but like, this is the sweet spot for this game, where it looks like amazing, but not too cleaned up. Like, once we start getting to like the Switch, the PS4, the Xbox One, PC, it's like too clean, and then you can kind of start to notice just how like low resolution some of the texture work and stuff is. And I feel like 720p was still, like, quote-unquote low enough where it wasn't fully on display. And now this is going to be a wild take. And I don't know why I feel like this just for this game, but I kind of like the 30 FPS for this game. I don't know. Like, obviously, higher frame rates literally just, like, always better. But something about this game being in, like, 60 FPS and stuff, it makes it, like, feel cheaper. I can't, like, fully explain why I feel this way, but it feels almost a little stiffer and a little more like rugged in 30 FPS, and I kind of like that for this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's some of the interpolation they had to do with some of the animation works and stuff, or you get some of the weird quirks like reloading the sniper rifle in 60 FPS looks like rough in the double frame because like that reloading animation does not have that many frames. It literally just like does not have that many frames. I think they try to interpolate like stuff like that. It just doesn't always work out perfectly. Obviously, as far as just like playing the game, like probably PC version with a mouse at 60 is like the best way you're gonna play it. But I don't know. There's something about this game being in 30 FPS that I kind of almost like more, and I don't know why. I don't feel about this for like any other game this way. But I feel like, yeah, like 720 30 is the sweet spot for this game, and I feel it's like the perfect in between for everything. So yeah, I think especially if we're talking like time period wise, I think like graphically this is great. I think Resident Evil 4 has a very strong art style, and the higher resolution definitely really cleans up the image, but not too much, because I feel like the GameCube and Wii versions, with how comparatively low res they were very busy and noisy, just because honestly, like, the game was so richly detailed that it was kind of hard to pick out some of the details with such a like low resolution. Like, I personally don't feel like 480p is that low, but you get what I'm saying. Compared to 720p, it's a world of a difference. And I feel like how detailed they're getting with the texture work and the art style and everything like that really starts to shine when you get to like at least 720p. And like I said, without like cleaning up so much where it starts to feel kind of like showing the flaws too much, sort of thing. But yeah, this game's like kind of noisy, especially on the GameCube. But like, to me, it's just a testament to how like crazily detailed this game really was. Like, this game looks like this is one of the best looking GameCube games, and still honestly probably one of the better looking Wii games. Like, maybe you can make an argument for like Xenoblade Chronicles. But then that's kind of like a really good example of exactly what I mean, where like that game's so detailed for 480p that it starts everything just gets a little too fuzzy and noisy. This isn't a Xenoblade video, but that's exactly what I'm trying to talk about here. So yeah, 720p at 30, it was like 2011 when this was released. I think they have like a more modernized control scheme you could use, or like you aim with the right analog stick. I don't want to say for certain though. I kind of like the normal style of aiming with the left analog stick, probably just because that's how the GameCube version was. I'm like, it was kind of muscle memory for the most part at that point. It's just like playing the Wii version with the Wiimote and nunchuck feels weird to me. Like, I know everybody loves that, and like rightfully so, because it's like the closest thing you're gonna get to something similar to mouse control. But like, to me, it feels like weird. Like, I tried playing it like that for a bit, and I just like I can't do it. My footage was with like a classic controller. I'm so bad with it, but like, it's like arguably better, because you can just point and then you can just knife by swinging the Wiimote and stuff like that. It's great. Like, it's a me problem. Getting a little distracted, not trying to. HD versions have all the same content as the PS2 version, which, you know, obviously the same with the Wii version, like separate ways and stuff. And as far as differences between the 360 and PS3 version, I think they're literally both just 720p 30. I couldn't find exact info for this online. Now, I don't know what it is, but I feel like the 360 version looks better, but I don't know, maybe it's just playing nicer with my upscaler or something, but it feels like a little less jagged and a little less aliased. Now, maybe there's like a different form of anti-aliasing going on with like the PS3 version. Maybe there isn't any, because I know that kind of stuff happened like occasionally where, like, just off the top of my head, I believe Dynasty Warriors Gundam 1. I know that's out of left field, but it did not have proper anti-aliasing on the PS3 compared to the 360. It just like blurred the image a bit. But so there were cases where like anti-aliasing was actually different on the PS3, just because the PS3, like, while it's on paper more powerful, it's like a less drastic version of a Sega Saturn issue where it's like, yeah, this is like more powerful than the competition, but hey, do you even know how to program for this? So the people that didn't, and like rightfully so, it was probably a bit of a mess. A lot of early PS3 ports, some later stuff too. Just, you know, it was just worse. It was just harder to use the hardware, even if the hardware was like better. Yeah, the 360 version looks like kind of better to me, and I don't know if it's just like an anti-aliasing difference or something, because there's like no info on these ports, like, from a technical perspective, which is kind of also why I wanted to make this video. And I'd like to give you more info as far as what's actually going on technologically speaking, but I can't. I have to give you what my eyes are seeing, because I don't have like pixel counting tools or anything like that. But, you know, It's definitely 720p and it's definitely 30 FPS. That much I can tell you. And I can't like quantify why I feel like the 360 version looks better. And you're not going to get the same pristine quality I'm getting directly on my TV. Like my capture cards are not that great. It definitely kind of makes the image a little fuzzier and a little grainier and stuff like that. But and YouTube is going to compress the video, and you're probably really not going to be able to tell the difference. But if you have access to both the versions, just look at them like side by side or back to back rather, and kind of see what you think. I feel like the 360 version looks better, but it's not like by like a landslide or anything. I feel like it looks like slightly better. But other than that, like these ports are like identical, and like obviously later on we had PS4, Xbox One ports, which were 1080 60, and PC port can be like 4K 60, 1440 60, whatever. But still 60 is like the limit. 120 FPS just does not work with the game's engine. It like breaks everything if I'm remembering properly. Switch version was like 600p in handheld and 900p docked, also 60. So like that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. Is like this is just such a interesting time capsule in the Resident Evil 4 porting history, which is a whole thing itself. Resident Evil 4 is on literally everything. You can probably play Resident Evil 4 in your toaster if you try hard enough. That still might be 30 FPS. But yeah, point being, to me, these are the most interesting versions of Resident Evil 4. Maybe because nobody really talks about them now, and I really like this generation of hardware. I love the Wii, I love the PS3, I love the 360. This is like my favorite generation. To me, this is still like modern gaming, and I'm very, very much so showing my age with that, but like to me, this is modern enough. I don't need anything more than this. Now, I appreciate everything that comes after this generation a lot. Don't get me wrong, but like I feel like, oh man, I'm getting 720p 30, I'm living the dream. I'm good to go. Screen tearing, who cares? I'm having a good time. It doesn't matter. Like to me, like I have no problem going back to older stuff either. I've never really had that problem. I know some people do, but like no, I wasn't around when the PC engine and the turbo graphics. I know it's the same console, but I wasn't around for that. But I still love that stuff. I'm getting a bit of a tangent here. Not trying to. I love hardware. I love strange ports. This is my jam. And you've probably seen, again, like I said, with the No More Heroes video, that I like strange ports, and I like things that people kind of don't really talk about anymore. I kind of said something like this before, but like, I feel like I like hardware more than I like actually playing video games. And it's like, it's a joke. But I am so obsessed with hardware, and I just love seeing the same game run on different systems of like, whether it's equal power with very slight differences or drastically different like power levels. And again, I'm not trying to make like Dragon Ball jokes, but like say something like Doom Eternal on the Switch compared to like the Xbox One version or something like that stuff. Fascinates me to no end. And it gets even more drastic the older you go. Like say, and I am going to look at this at some point, but say you take something like Gradius, and wow, I'm really showing my age, but something like Gradius, and you look at the Famicom version, and then you look at the PC Engine version, or, you know, if I want to Americanize it, like the Nintendo version, and then the TurboGrafx 16 version, like, things used to be so much drastically different. And then we got, eventually, once we got to like, you know, N64, Saturn, PS1, we were starting to almost assimilate a general idea, but you still had huge differences. Like, take something like the Sega Saturn version of Resident Evil and how visually different that is than the PS1 version, while still being generally acceptable and the same, but like the way polygons are handled being triangular on the Saturn. I want to say they're triangular, and then while PlayStations were like square, and then you have the weird issues with it being hard to show transparencies, and then you have like more of that like kind of checkerboard effect going on. What do you call it? I know there's like an actual name for that. That like kind of mesh pattern looking thing. Dithering, like the dithering artifacts and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. I'm huge into different ports and version differences of games and stuff. So I know this video has been kind of rambly, but I'm more so, like, I love Resident Evil 4. I want to talk about Resident Evil 4. I want to talk about a weird port. I'm super excited for that remake coming out. I love the new Resident Evil stuff. And like I said, I think Resident Evil 4 is like the best game ever. I'm super excited to see what the development team is cooking up for this remake. I'm all over it. Like, I love the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's so good. The problem is, like I said, there's not much info on this from a technical point of view. There's not even just much info on this at all. Like, it's kind of like people just like kind of skimmed over this version. Like, I'm sure it's sold well and stuff like that, but like in America, we didn't even get a physical version of this. Now, there is physical Japanese versions of this on both PS3 and 360, bundled with Code Veronica HD, I believe. What I wouldn't give to have that 360 version, because it's, you know, I love Japanese only 360 stuff, and that's one of them. It's so strange. It's so very strange, but my God, would I love to get my hands on that at some point, even though the 360's region locked for some reason. Not a big fan of that. But yeah, this is a fascinating oh God. I'm keeping that in. This is a fascinating time capsule in Resident Evil 4 porting history, which is a very, very real thing. If you want more info on Resident Evil 4 ports, stick around, because I'm sure I'm going to talk about it. Maybe I'll even stream one. Also, that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is go check out, like I said earlier, Uncle Derek at Stop Skeletons from Fighting. They have multiple videos on different Resident Evil 4 ports, and I love all of them. They are very informational, very fun to watch, and it's going to cover a lot more than what you see in this video. I just wanted to highlight and focus on the 360 and PS3 version for this video. So, with that being said, you know, if you like this kind of stuff, if you want to hear about weird ports, which yes you do, you're here. You want to hear about weird video game ports. Don't lie to me. I want you to like this video. I want you to do that right now. I hate chilling for myself, but we're going to get through this. You're going to like the video, please. Oh my God, please just like the video. And then comment on the video. Tell me the best weapon in Resident Evil 4 and why it's the Red 9. And then tell me your favorite version of Resident Evil 4 with that same comment. And don't tell me the Zeebo port. I know you're fibbing. And with that, subscribe to me, please. I will tell you more about weird ports if you just press that little button. I swear. Alright, that's enough of that. This has been very enjoyable. Sorry it's a little rambly, but that's kind of just the nature of this. Like, there isn't concrete information. This is stream of consciousness talking about Resident Evil 4 and the 360 and PS3. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do all the stuff I said. Whatever. Later.